Hi everyone, I hope you all watched the previous videos. After a long period of use, a gray spot develops on the inside of a bulb. This is because the gray spot that develops on the inside of a bulb after prolonged use is primarily due to the sublimation and subsequent deposition of tungsten from the filament. Okay, when the filament, typically made of tungsten, heats up, it undergoes a process called sublimation, where it transitions directly from a solid to gas state without becoming liquid. Okay, this tungsten vapor then condenses on the colder inner surface of the bulb, forming a grayish black layer. Okay, so here the answer is option C. Should cars have bumpers that collapse under impact? Bumpers and soft materials deforms when force is applied. If they deform, they absorb some energy, right? When you hit a wall or a car, a bumper absorbs a part of the energy when you hit the wall. In some cases, that differs, say, man's life, right? So here the answer is yes, since they have to absorb the impact of collision and keeps the occupant safe. Ice cubes are added to glass of pure water and a glass of pure alcohol. The ice would be so here density of water is approximately around 1 gram per ml. Okay, density of ice is approximately 0.93 gram per ml. Okay, and density of 100% pure ethanol is it's around 0.79 gram per ml. Okay, so the density of ice cubes is lesser than the water but higher than the alcohol. So it will float in the water but sink in the alcohol. Okay, this can also be put as the ice cube will float higher in water as compared to alcohol. Okay, so at a higher level in water. Okay, is the answer. A person wears spectacles with concave lens. It means that normally the image of distant object is focused in his eyes. So here concave lens means myopia, right? Myopia occurs when the light is focused in front of the retina. Okay, it occurs because either the eyeball is too long or because the cornea is too cold. Okay, people with short sight are not able to see distant objects clearly. Okay, concave prescription lenses. Okay, that means minus lenses. Okay, are used to bend light rays slightly outwards. Okay, the light rays then have a greater angle to bend back to focus when traveling through the cornea and lens. Okay, as a result, the light rays focus further back on the retina. Okay, so here the answer is option B, in front of the retina. Okay, what is the principle of a life jacket? Answer is it increases the volume of the person to keep him afloat. Okay, for an object to float, it must be able to equal its own weight by displacing enough water. Okay, a life jacket is mainly filled with a gas which has a very low mass. As such, when worn by a person, it acts to significantly increase their volume for only a very small increase in their mass. Okay, this means that they have a lower density than normal, which increases their buoyancy and helps them to float. Okay, myopia is the same as. Okay, we all know that that is nearsightedness. Okay, sun's heat reaches us by this is also known as radiation. Okay, a sphere rolls down on two inclined planes of different angles but same height. It does so. If the ball and slopes are frictionless, then the ball will roll the same distance of both slopes as long as the ball starts from the same. This is because at the top of the slope, the ball has potential energy equal to mass, gravity, height. Okay, it does not matter if the slope is steeper or not. All that matters is that the ball starts out at same height. Okay, if the ball and slope are in real life and have friction, then the ball will still roll similar distance, but it just depends on the difference between the rolling friction of the slopes and the floor. Okay, the ball will spend less time on the steeper slope compared to the gentler slope. Okay, if the slope has a higher coefficient of friction compared to the ground, then the ball will lose energy rolling on the slope. So you want to minimize time spent on the slope. Okay, if the slope has a lower coefficient of friction compared to the ground, you want to minimize the time spent on the ground. So the ball rolling on the gentler steep will, gentler slope will roll further. Okay, so here the answer is with the same speed. Okay, in heating frozen foods in sealed pouches is a microwave. Why do you first poke holes in the pouch? It is to prevent the steam pressure from bursting open the pouch. Okay, in heating frozen foods in a sealed pouches in a microwave, first poke holes in the pouch to prevent the steam pressure from bursting open the pouch. Okay, anything in a tight skin or shell can explode in a microwave because the water inside can expand and burst through. Okay, it is for this very reason that before microwaving, the skin of potatoes and should be pricked. Okay, and similar vegetables should be cut in half. Egg should be taken out of the shell, and holes should be poked in the plastic wrap or sealed pouches of the frozen packed foods. Okay, a vacuum cleaner works on the principle of pressure difference. On the moon, it will not work at all. Okay, vacuum cleaners work by creating air pressure difference between inside and outside of the vacuum cleaner, but that is not possible on the moon. If no part of the vacuum cleaner were submerged in dust, no dust would be moved because there would be no pressure difference. Okay, the dimensional formula of couple. The dimensional formula of couple is m1 l square t power minus 2. Okay, so before explaining this, I'll tell you the what is couple. Okay, so you can just look into the picture and listen to my definition. Okay, couple is a two equal forces which act in opposite direction on an object but not through the same point. Okay, so they produce a turning effect. Okay, so here F1 equals to F2. Okay, couple is a two equal forces which act in opposite direction on an object but not through the same point. So they produce a turning effect. Okay, the moment or torque of a couple is calculated by multiplying the size of one of the force by the perpendicular distance between the two forces. Okay, this is the distance between the two forces. Okay, so here couple is sorry couple equals to force into distance. Okay, it is perpendicular distance. Okay, so What is the formula? Dimensional formula of force. That is force equals to M1 L T L1 T power minus 2. Okay, that is, the force is a Newton, right? Newton means kg meter per second square. Okay, so kg is mass. M1 meter means L1 second square means T power minus 2. Okay, so here distance d equals to L. Okay, by combining these two, couple equals to N1. Here L1 is there, here also L1 is there, right? So L square, not square, L2. Okay, T power minus 2. Okay, so that's the option A. Okay, a rubber ball is dropped from a height of 2 meters. To what height will it rise if there is no heat loss of energy or velocity after rebounding? So here formula is H equals to H star into E square. Okay, here E is the what coefficient of restitution. Okay, here H equals to H star is 2 meters into E equals to 1. Okay, because there is no energy loss here, 1 square. So that is equals to 2 meter. H equals to 2 meters. So here the answer is 2 meters. Okay. When a pail of water is swung in a vertical circle, the water does not fall out at the top of loop when the speed is. That is option B. Above a certain minimum value in respect of the amount of water in the pail. Okay. When a pail of water is swung in a vertical circle, the water does not fall out at the top of the loop when the speed is greater enough. Okay. At every point in the circle, the water tries to fall vertically out due to the force of gravity, okay, but also tries to move in a straight line due to its circular motion. If the velocity is larger enough, the water will not drop out of the bucket. Okay, the value of g does not depend upon the object's mass. Who enunciated the law of planetary motion? Everyone knows that Kepler, right? The radiant energy having lowest energy is, that is, microwave radiation is the lowest energy. Okay, which one of the following has the highest value of specific heat? That is water. Okay, a microscope used in pathological laboratories forms, that is magnified, virtual and inverted image. Okay, when milk is churned, the cream separates due to, it is due to centrifugal force. Okay, it is just like the washing machine scenario. Okay, the cream will be churned. So the milk is churned, the cream separates due to the centrifugal force. Okay, the magnifying power of an astronomical telescope can be decreased by increasing the focal length of the eyepiece. Okay, necessary element of change in solar energy to electrical energy. that is silicon. Okay, a photodiode used in a manner that makes it photovoltaic cell is required to turn the irradiation from the sun into electricity. These are made primarily from semiconductors such as silicon, germanium, and others. Okay, but also required for other materials that is doping to act to achieve the specific behavior required. Okay, so we're giving units, right? Distance is light year, that is 2, and energy is joules, that is 3. Intensity of sound is decibel, 4. Frequencies H 2341. It is option. The audio signal of TVR, that is frequency modulated. Okay, different methods of modulation are used for both sound and picture information so that there is less interference between the picture and sound signals. Okay, further amplitude modulation of the carrier takes up less bandwidth in the spectrum, and this is important when a high frequency content modulating signal such as video is to be transmitted. Okay, FM modulation is used to only for the sound. Okay, sound for noiseless reception. Okay, the light beam, which is highly directional, is that is laser. Okay, laser stands for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Okay, it is an electronic device that produces light, actual and electromagnetic radiation. Okay, woolen cloth protects the body from cold because it is a poor conductor of heat. Okay, the owl can see most clearly in total darkness because it has large eyes with orbs directed forward, giving it binocular sight. Okay, that is option B. Damp cloths are dried in spin dryer by the action of, I have discussed it previously, that is centrifugal force. Okay, if you are a mechanical engineer, you may know that centrifugal casting, right? We can produce hollow pipes, right? So the answer is centrifugal force. Which color of light shows maximum deviation when passed through a prism? That is violet. Okay. Wavelength is inversely proportional to the deviation in the path of the light. Okay. Red light suffers the least amount of deviation and violet is the most amount of deviation. When a white light is made to pass through a prism, formation of a spectrum of 7 colors occur, showing white light is a combination of 7 separate colors. Okay. Tape recorder should not be kept near one of the following things. That is magnet. Okay. Magnet can destroy data. While this is certainly true for the floppy disk and some old hard drives, you might wonder whether it's true or musical mediums such as cassette tapes and CDs. Well, floppy disks were vulnerable to magnetic force because they are arranged the data magnetically. Okay. As such, understanding the effect of magnets on other mediums required understanding of how they work. Okay. When a person sitting on a swing stands up on the swing, the frequency of oscillation, that is, decreases. Okay. When a person sitting on a swing stands up swing, the frequency of oscillation increases. Okay. Night photography in the mist and fog are possible using infrared radiation. Okay, the blue color of water in the sea is due to absorption of other colors except blue by water molecules. Okay, which of the following is a good conductor of heat but a bad conductor of electricity? That is mica. Okay, an aircraft can perform aerobatic maneuvers in a vertical loop because of gravity. Okay, a key feature of super maneuver aircraft is high thrust to weight ratio. Okay, a photostat machine works on electrostatic image making. Okay, that is option B. Steam at 100 degrees centigrade causes more severe burns than water at 100 degrees centigrade because steam has more heat energy than water due to its latent heat of evaporation. Okay, steam and boiling water can exist at varying temperatures, but it is only correct to assume here that both are at the same temperature. So here the answer is steam has latent heat of vaporization. Okay. To measure the speed of an approaching car, a police officer shines. So here the answer is radio waves on it. Okay. During hot weather, the fan produces a feeling of comfort. This is because of our perspiration evaporates rapidly. Okay. Forged documents are detected by ultraviolet rays. Okay. Rainbow is seen after rain because of hanging molecules of water which acts as a mirror. Okay. Which of the following is a result of surface tension? That is capillary action. Okay. Cohesive forces between molecules cause the surface of liquid to contract to the smallest possible surface area. Okay. Capillary action is the tendency of a fluid to be raised or suppressed in a narrow tube or a capillary tube, which is due to the relative strength of the cohesive and adhesive forces. Okay. Lightning is caused due to that is electric discharge. Okay. Lightning is a sudden electrostatic discharge during an electrical storm. This discharge allows charged regions in the atmosphere to temporarily equalize themselves when they strike an object on the ground. Although lightning is always accompanied by sound of thunder, distant lightning may be seen but be too far away for the thunder to be heard. Water sprayer functions on Bernoulli's principle. Okay, water sprayer, perfume sprayer, pesticide sprayer, etc. are the functions of Bernoulli's principle. Okay, it tells about the behavior of fluids. Okay, it states that pressure decreases as the speed of flow increases within a stream of fluid. Okay, within a stream of fluid. So here the answer is the device which transfers the signal from low resistance region to high resistance region. That is transistor. Okay, transistor is an electronic component. It is a combination of two words, trans plus resistor, means transfer signal from low resistance region to high resistance region. Okay. Its applications are as a switch, as an amplifier, as an oscillator. Okay. A wire sitting on a high tension electric wire does not get electrocuted because the circuit is not completed. If it touches the ground or another way, charge transfers and it is electrocuted. Okay, so it does not form a closed path for the flow of current. Okay, the wall of a dam is broader at the base. So here the answer is to withstand pressure that increases with depth. Okay, the reason is that the pressure exerted by a liquid increases with its depth. Okay, because the formula will say that P equals to rho g h, right? So the depth or height increases, the pressure increases. Okay, density is remains same and gravity is remains same on that. So only here depth or height will affect the pressure. Okay, so as the depth increases, more and more pressure is exerted by water on the wall of the dam. A thicker wall is required to withstand greater pressure. Therefore, the thickness of the dam increases towards the bottom. Okay, which of the following is arranged in order to decrease in conductivity? That is silver, copper, aluminum, and steel. Okay, which of the following liquids is most viscous? That is oil. Okay, there is no relationship between viscosity and density of fluid, but oil is more viscous than water, and thus when we put a drop of water and oil on a slant surface, water will move downwards more quickly than the oil drop. Okay, radioactive decay is due to radioactive decay occurs in unstable atomic nuclei. That is, ones that don't have enough binding energy to hold the nucleus together due to an excess of either protons or neutrons. Okay, which conservation principle is applicable in the case of motion of rocket? That is conservation of momentum. Okay, the outlying principle behind rocket propulsion happens to be a law of conservation of linear momentum. Okay, in other words, spacecraft exert mass in a certain direction in order to be propelled in another direction. Okay. It is easier to carry 2 buckets of water in one hand each than to carry only one in one hand because the center of gravity and center of equilibrium falls within the feet. Okay, the weight is spaced out more evenly on both the sides of the body than it would be if you had to carry in a single bucket. Okay, so here the answer is center of gravity and center of equilibrium falls within the feet. Okay, thank you.